Hey pals, in this video I want to talk about creating an audition recipe to help you with your audition prep. This is something that I have been doing, and I have to say it's been an invaluable tool for my audition success. It has decreased my anxiety. It has increased my level of artistic satisfaction when I am preparing for auditions, and it also has decreased the amount of time it takes me to prepare for an audition. What? Yeah, I bet you want to hear more. So watch this video to the end, and also I have attached a link below this video for you to click on and go to my website so that you can download a cheat sheet. I sound like a crazy person. So you can click on and download a cheat sheet that breaks down what I'm talking about in this video and can help you create an audition recipe for yourself. Sorry, I don't know what's with me. I'm drinking water out of a copper cup. Maybe that's what's going on. Okay, so creating an audition recipe. Before you actually create the recipe, these are the things that you need to consider. First things first is that your audition recipe is always going to change because every audition is different and every audition is going to call for different things. So when you are crafting your recipe, you want to consider these things first before you actually come up with your plan. I think if you follow the exact same plan for every single audition, you're missing out on new discoveries and more growth in your process. So this is what I consider when I'm creating an audition recipe. The first thing is to get super practical and actually get information about the audition. So, who is it for? Where is it happening? What time is it happening at? How much time between now and the audition do you actually have? And what do you need to do for it? Do you need to learn lines? Do you need to really develop a character? Do you need to improvise? Do you need to sing? Is it a group audition? Is it a solo audition? Are you going to be auditioning in front of a panel of people in a room? What is going on? Get really, really clear on that. Also, things like, what is the project attached to? You can do research on the network if it's a TV show that's producing it, and what kind of read they're going to be looking for. Or if it's a play, who are the directors? Who are the producers? Who else is involved in this? Have they already cast it? Get a sense of what's going on with this, because there's so much more going on outside of the audition that could impact what you decide to prepare. Number two thing to consider is to check in with your artistry. What are you working on right now in your craft? And what is something that you could add to your audition recipe that helps you work on your craft a little bit? So for example, I am really working on my body connection to my work. So I've been incorporating body work into my auditioning prep, and I at least do at least 10 minutes of that when I'm warming up or when I'm getting ready to work on my audition. So yeah, check in with your artistry. Ask yourself, what's something I'm working on, and what can you do with this audition to help incorporate some of that in there. This is where you might end up making some new discoveries that you haven't before on your scene that it's great. I had a point to make and then it went but I think you get my point. Copper. Crazy copper. All right, the next thing is to check in with how you're feeling. Are you tired? Are you feeling open and ready to work? Do you feel really tight inside? Have you been running around all day? Did something really crappy just happen to you? These are all things that impact what's happening when you're about to enter into audition prep. So check in with yourself and incorporate that into your recipe. Maybe you need a warm-up exercise that's going to help center you. Or maybe if you're super tired, you're going to need an exercise to get some energy flowing. These are all things to think about. Another thing to think about for your recipe is what time frame are you going to be working on it. So how much time do you think you need, and actually schedule in your calendar when you're going to work on it. So often when I get auditions, I'm in the middle of doing something else or I'm at work. So I look at the audition, get a very quick sense of how much time I'm going to need, and then I block off 1 or 2 chunks of time to work on it. And then decide what are some things that you might need to work with to help prepare for your audition. Do you need a special space for it? Do you need a yoga mat, a video camera, and a tripod perhaps, or a partner? Sometimes certain ones are way easier to prepare for if you invite a friend over to work with. Or maybe there's a segment that you're going to need coaching and you really want to get that extra help. Lastly, before you create your audition recipe, the last thing to consider is an anchor statement or two. An anchor statement is a word or a phrase that you can write down and use for your brain to help ground you in your work. I like to use anchor statements because I find that the brain really likes to think about a lot of things when you get an audition. And it's not just because of the brain, it's because your body's feeling a lot of feelings about the audition, and you might become attached to things like booking the job or really impressing the casting director. There's all that going on, and it can trigger some internal fear and anxiety, and I find that anchor statements are a nice reminder about what's really important and can help calm that stuff and help give you some focus in your audition prep. So an example of an anchor statement that I love right now is, this audition is an opportunity for me to perform a one-time only show. I find that anchor statement has been so powerful for me because it's made me detach from the idea that I'm going to book the job or need to book the job, and it's made me attached to a new goal, which is to perform and to use my own artistry in the work and to have fun and to remind myself that I'm grateful for this great thing that I'm about to do. So anchor statements can be a really, really powerful tool. Now that you have all these things considered, it's time to actually create your audition recipe. So basically what this is looking at the chunk of time that you've set out, or 2 chunks of time, and breaking it down into smaller chunks where each time chunk is such a horrible word, but I'm going to keep using it. Each time chunk, now I can't, each time segment is, friggin', this day it's a good day. I'm having a good time. Each time segment, you are doing a specific thing. So one time segment could be you meditate. Another time segment could be warm up your body and your voice. Another time segment could be working on the lines. We could then have another segment about then like getting in front of a camera and practicing the scene, or getting a friend to sing your song in front of. So really, really plan out what you're going to do. And I also like to then write the anchor statement at the top of whatever page I'm writing it on. It's also fun to use markers and a nice piece of paper. There's something about creating it in a special way and a fun and creative way that just gets those fun, juicy feelings going. Your creative juices. That's what I meant to say. It gets your creative juices going. So have fun when you're writing down your plan. Okay, and then the last step is to actually follow it. Now, it's definitely one thing to create a plan, and then it's a whole other thing to actually follow the plan. So follow your plan because you made it, and challenge yourself to do it as an experiment if you've never created an audition recipe before. The best way to follow your plan is to use a timer. So you have it all laid out and then actually set a timer and to like signal when it's time to move on to the next thing. If you've never done an audition recipe before, I do recommend trying it, testing it out. So say you have an audition the next day at 2 p.m. and it is now 5 p.m. the day before. And you know that you have about 2 hours tonight to work on it, and you actually have 2 hours tomorrow to work on it. I suggest really create an audition recipe for tonight and then save creating one for tomorrow, because what you want to do is test out how does your audition recipe go, and then make sure that you are actually preparing in a way that really serves you. Yeah, and so your audition recipe should be incorporating all of those things that I talked about at the beginning of this video, and really taking into account what's important to you and what matters and what's going to help you create an audition that's powerful and really showcases your skills. The other nice thing, like I said earlier on, is that it's challenging you to stick to a specific time frame and challenging you to stay on time, because sometimes we can over prep certain things. I would say particularly line learning. I think a lot of people get really stuck in the lines because they get anxious that they're going to lose the lines. So challenge yourself on that. Really devote dedicated time and focus time to learning your lines. Ooh, last thing, when you are doing your audition prep, really focus on that 2-hour chunk or whatever many hours, and eliminate any distractions. So get your phone out of the room, turn off your computers, tell people that you're living with that you are preparing for your audition, close the door that you're in, make sure that you have the space to work that's going to be uninterrupted. Cool! So that wraps up my video about creating an audition recipe. So let me know how it goes for you when you try one, and also let me know if you have any questions. Don't forget to download my cheat sheet. In that, I'm going to be giving an example of what I've done recently. I'll break down a 2-hour chunk about what I've done recently for an audition I recently prepped. Don't just copy me. Create one for yourself, because you are your own artist and you know what's best for you. You really do. Okay, thanks so much for watching. If you got this far, and I hope you got this far, well, you did because you're watching this. The people who left earlier, they're losing out. Okay. I'll see you in the next video. And if anybody knows if copper water is actually a thing, like am I ingesting copper by having water in a copper cup? That's what I read, but I don't know if this is true. If anybody knows, let me know.